Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to Yakuza Judgment. I really appreciate you guys joining me today, and let's get back into this zany crime drama nonsense. Let's go. Man, this is a long flashback part.
It's a journey.
Can we not do this?
Either way, guess the Okubo case comes first. Pleading innocent, yeah?
That's the plan.
What is your plan here? This isn't gonna be an easy win.
Well, I'm working on that. There's one piece of evidence that still bothers me.
Yeah? And what's that?
What should I focus if I want to prove Okubo's innocence? I'm assuming it's going to be this. It's going to be the hospital hallway that you can't actually see if it was Okubo or what's his face. Yeah, that's the one. Reveal the evidence.
Take a look at this.
Like
It's
I
the
thought.
hospital room the victim was staying in. This is the last place Waku-san was seen before he disappeared. At the time, the witness would have seen Waku-san from this angle through the window in the door. But the cabinet here would have been blocking his face.
Uh-huh.
In other words, there's room to argue that the witness never actually saw Waku-san to begin with. It might have just looked like there was somebody in there. Or maybe the killer set it up to look that way.
Also, you couldn't
How
tell
would
if
that impact
Waku-san
the
was
trial?
alive or not at the
Well,
time.
the premise that the victim was still alive at 8 o'clock would no longer be on the table. Meaning, the crime could have occurred during a much wider time range. With that in mind, we could claim there's no proof that Okubo took Waku-san out of the room.
Right. Not bad.
What the hell's your problem?
Was that Shintani?
I think so.
Get back here! That bastard. Oh, was eavesdropping on you.
What the hell?
I tried to stop him, but he pulled a stun gun on me.
Jeez.
Hey! Wait up!
Oh, it's her. That's a bit weird.
You won't get away!
Oh, because she wanted to come in secret. Ah, I got it. But she also just assaulted the dude, so I guess I got it.
Hold up!
But yeah, this is what's her face, and also Shintani kind of deserves it for how he treated her. You know what? More than anything, I'm impressed that Yagami is able to do this in dress shoes. Cause damn, dress shoes really suck to try to do anything like this. And more than anything, even if you can do it, you don't want to. You don't want to ruin your dress shoes. They just suck.
A woman?
Help! Someone help me!
Aren't you Terasawa-san?
Let me go!
You assaulted someone.
We got a groper out here? Scum of the earth!
Great.
Not on my watch, you son of a bitch!
Not on your watch, you're just gonna beat me up and then take her to a hotel. That's no point in pretending. Oh no! Because it's earlier Ow! It's earlier Yagami, so I have absolutely no health. and just don't do any damage. Hey, did it. Well, if she's gone, whatever. Bit weird that she decided to come by, but...
Can all lawyers fight like that?
Yeah, no point in being buddy-buddy with me now. You just accused me of groping you. Yeah, we're not pretending here. We're not friends.
Did you really need to run away like that? I assume you came to see me.
There was something I wanted to talk to you about, yes. But I wasn't sure if I should. Then that pig-headed friend of yours started shouting, so I just lost it.
Yeah.
Okay, but did you have to tase him? Not that he didn't have it coming.
Seriously.
Anyway, I'm listening if you want to talk. No matter what it is, I'll keep your secret. Anything you tell me will fall under client attorney privilege.
Well, you know the witness who last saw Waku-san? Said he saw him sleeping in his bed.
Uh-huh.
Well, that witness is a man by the name of Shono-san. He's one of the scientists at the ADDC. Not only that, but he's the director's right-hand man, too.
Oh. Oh. It's this guy. Yeah, it's the guy that looked sus before we went into this flashback. It's the guy that looked sus. Pretty much your run-of-the-mill researcher.
He's a very dedicated doctor, so the nurses have a lot of faith in him. But something felt off when I heard what he had to say about the incident.
And what's that?
I guess I'm just skeptical as to whether or not he actually saw Waku-san. I don't think he's intentionally deceiving us, but he may be mistaken somehow. And if I had to guess, I'd say the other nurses feel the same.
Still, why hasn't anyone mentioned this until now?
How could we? Nurses talking about a doctor behind his back? That's not something a nurse could do without consequences.
Yup.
And if it came to a courtroom testimony...
Yup. You'd lose your job and no one would want to actually hire you.
Maybe the other nurses wouldn't, but I would. I never really fit in over there anyway. Besides...
Yeah?
I think Okubo-san is innocent.
Oh, really? Sounds like I've finally got an ally on my team.
Yeah. It's... your job's on the line, and if you testify, you're just kind of out.
I'm currently employed as a researcher at the Advanced Drug Development Center. Part of our research consists of clinical tests we perform on patients in the general ward of the center. On the day of the crime, I was making my usual rounds through the ward.
Researcher of the ADTC. Your G is Shono.
And what time was that?
Around 7:50?
Hey, it's this asshole again.
Yes, the patients eat breakfast at precisely 8 o'clock. I always head to the break room myself, right around then too.
This break room, to be precise?
That's correct. Our more mobile patients walk there for breakfast instead of eating in their own rooms. Then, while the nurses help the patients eat, I ask about how they feel and how the medicine is treating them.
And on the day of Waku-san's disappearance, you passed by his room before going to the break room?
Yes.
And in that room, you saw Waku-san lying on the bed?
Yes.
Can you describe the situation to us as you remember it?
The door has a window, so you can see into the room from the hallway.
And this is the room you're referring to, yes?
That's
So
correct.
I still
From
like
where
the
I was
guitar
standing in
riff,
the hallway, I could see Waku-san lying in bed.
but it's a bit
He was asleep,
weird,
with a blanket covering most of his body.
which means you can't actually see Waku-san if he had a blanket covering most of his body. It could just be, you know, a prop or something like that, or it could be cushions. It's super easy. But what I was gonna say is I like the guitar riff like theme for this, but excuse me, the guitar riff in some of these scenes, and throughout this game, but sometimes it feels like it's like a bit too intense for what's going on. Like, I get this is intense, but like the guitar riff's like, yup, yup, yup. Like, guys, it's a long court process.
And what time was that?
Around 7:50.
Like,
No further questions.
this theme makes more sense than the guitar riff.
Yagami-sensei, why did you call her to the stand?
She actually asked to testify. Is that a problem?
Not really, no.
Here's my chance for a comeback. Do I actually have to play
Terrasawa-san,
lawyer?
You were present for Shono-san's testimony just now, yes?
Yes.
And what is your opinion on that testimony?
For a scientist, I felt his wording was rather imprecise. And as
Oh, one moment. Do.
a medical professional, I felt his actions were negligent.
Could I ask you to be a little more specific?
Oh, and there's the
witness,
other scum
Shono-san,
dude in the
claims
background.
he saw Waku-san sleeping in his bed during his morning rounds. However, there's no way he could have known that just by looking in from the hallway.
I have evidence supporting Terasawa-san's testimony.
Shono should have been able to see Waku. I have evidence to prove that. Reveal the evidence.
Please look at this. It's a photograph of the victim's room as viewed from the hallway. In other words, this is what Shono-san would have seen when he checked in on Waku-san.
And the evidence that points to this fact? The victim was already dead. The culprit was hiding in the hospital room. The culprit is Shono, who claims to be a witness. His testimony was a lie.
Shono-san was lying when he said he saw Waku-san in the bed.
Excuse me?
What he saw from the door was likely nothing more than a bulge of sheets. He couldn't have been able to identify it specifically as Waku-san. So to claim as much in his testimony seems like quite an exaggeration, don't you think?
But common sense would dictate otherwise, would it not? Who would be in the bed other than Waku-san?
The staff nurses are trained to always enter a room when checking in on a patient. In Waku-san's case, it's impossible to tell anything just by looking in from the hallway. There was actually one time a while back where we thought he was under the covers, only to find Waku-san eating in the break room a second later. And upon re-examining the room, we realized that we had mistaken a bunched-up pillow for Waku-san.
The witness makes an important distinction. The prosecution asserts that Shono-san's testimony is clear, that the victim was taken out of his room at some point between 7:50 and 8:30 in the morning. They claim that because of this time frame, the defendant must have smuggled Waku-san's body out in his laundry bin.
That's why Okubo-kun assumed to be the only person who have killed Waku-san.
But if Shono-san's testimony is invalid, as the defense asserts, we have to consider the possibility that Waku-san was taken in the middle of the night when nobody else was around. After which, the killer could have waited until the morning to plant the body in the defendant's truck. In other words, the defense establishes that there is reasonable doubt that Okubo-san is the killer, rendering the prosecution's central argument unsound. Your Honor, taking this new testimony into account, I'd like to call Shono-san back to the stand for cross-examination.
Boom! It's actually really interesting to see this.
Yes?
But, like... Excuse me. But obviously, the whole reason why we're having to see this is going to be super important for all that's going to go on. And it's probably going to turn out, looking at this point, that Okubo was framed for killing his girlfriend. Let's see how Shono responds to the evidence and Terasa-san's testimony
I'll
out
get
in the
right to
open.
the point. On the day of the crime, what did you see when you looked into Waku-san's room?
I saw Waku-san asleep in his bed, I think.
And did you get a clear look at his face?
I don't remember.
So it's possible that it could have been someone other than Waku-san in that bed. Or maybe even a pillow that you mistook to be Waku-san's body. Isn't that right?
Objection! The defense is leading the witness.
Sustained. Please rephrase the question.
Shono-san, can you say without a doubt that Waku-san was in that bed when you checked on him?
I don't think I can, no.
He's like, fuck.
And the defense rests. But I do have a quick remark for the prosecution.
Huh?
Prosecutor's argument has fallen apart, not to go in for the kill.
The charges against my client stem from your assertion that he's the only possible suspect, assuming the crime took place within the stated time frame. However, the defense has proven without a doubt that Shono-san's testimony is unreliable, establishing reasonable doubt for my client. I would suggest then that you withdraw the charges against my client. With such inconclusive evidence, you'll only be wasting the court's precious time.
The prosecution does not consider the witness's testimony inconclusive. His memory of the incident may be fuzzy, yes, but that doesn't change that he saw the victim.
So, your whole case is based on a fuzzy memory? This promising young man's future is at stake, and you're willing to throw that away on unreliable testimony?
Dr. Shono is a bright and diligent researcher. After watching his own grandmother develop dementia, he vowed to create a drug that could cure the disease.
Yeah.
After paying his own way through medical school, he went on to become the head researcher at the ADDC. Day after
good for
day,
him.
Dr. Shono visits his sick patients out of the kindness of his heart, leading to his valiant testimony here today.
No. Ooh.
If you want to know whether I trust this man, then my answer is a resounding yes.
In other words, because he's such a great researcher, his testimony is infallible. His own admission that he's not sure is somehow overlooked? Is that the sum of it? Because from here, it sounds like you're putting your faith in Shono-san's title, not his testimony today.
The prosecution is not as easily swayed as you think. And you want to talk reputation? What of your client's history of domestic abuse?
Uh-oh, he's gonna bring up Okubo's record.
6 years ago, the defendant broke his girlfriend's finger. The poor girl is still suffering from the effects. And the cause? A minor, drunken disagreement.
Nope.
Now, fast forward to what occurred a few days prior to the crime. Waku-san, suspecting the defendant of stealing his wallet, lashed out and punched the defendant in the face. Given the clearly violent nature of Okubo-san here, that alone would be motivation enough to murder the poor old...
Don't you fucking dare.
Is something wrong, ma'am? Please remain seated while court is in session.
She's gonna go ham.
Terasawa-san?
Okubo-san is not a violent person. And he hasn't even had a drink in over 6 years. Not a single drop since the incident.
My court will not stand for this commotion.
He didn't blame Waku-san at all. He knew that the outburst was just caused by his dementia, that it was all the sickness's fault. So there was no reason for him to resort to murder.
Terasawa-san, please.
Okubo-san really is an incredible, caring person.
Please leave this courtroom at once.
You're right that he may be hard to approach, but he's a kind soul. And he always keeps his promises. Okubo-san's not the only person in this courtroom who would be affected by a guilty verdict, either. As a matter of fact, it would break my heart. And even through it all, he wanted me to keep this a secret. Not to tell anyone, not even his lawyer, that we were dating.
Damn. Well.
Even though he knew he could have ended up in prison, making sure I was safe was the only thing in the world he cared about. That's just who he is. But when the prosecution has already decided he's a criminal, how could he possibly be given a fair trial?
Her little outburst wasn't technically admissible, but as the trial dragged on, it hung over the jury like a stone.
Damn.
And in the end, Shinpei Okubo was found not guilty.
Yup.
But only a month after his release,
This is the big one.
everything changed. The same girl who had so bravely proclaimed Okubo's innocence died by the man's own hand.
Supposedly. I doubt it. That whole trial fully pulls everything into doubt. Oh, and now we're here. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of Yakuza Judgment. Really appreciate it. If you could, I would really like if you could leave a like, subscribe. It really helps with building up a small channel like this. Beyond that, I hope you have a great day. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Peace.